comes to what she does. So if you are one of those people that are trying to figure things out and having a bit of time, you are going to want to book a session with Leann, because she has this system that can tell you who you are and what you're all about. And I am so glad to welcome her to our show tonight. Welcome, Leann. It is so good to have you here on the New Bridge Radio Show.
Hey, Kevin. Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun. I love conversation.
I know you do, because I've been visiting your website, and what I like about your story is you kind of have a story that quite a few of us have, where you were working a job
Yep.
that you hated, and and the universe really had to get your attention.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that story.
All right. Sure. So I was in corporate Canada. I worked in the finance sector. I was there for 10 years. I'd done a whole bunch of stuff before that, but that was the longest space that I'd been in. And one day I was driving to work. I was a manager, so you know how that, middle management is. You're constantly being squeezed from both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to hold up the whole world for the people underneath you so that they don't get, crushed. And I was driving to work, and all of a sudden I just felt this heat come up inside of me, and it went all the way up through my chest, through my neck, up into my head, and I blacked out for about two to 3 seconds. And I'm, driving down the road in a pickup truck, and I'm like, I don't have time to be sick. So I pull into the parking lot at work, and I get out, and like I'm feeling okay, I'm feeling fine. I go and I sit in my office. I'm always the first one at work, and I'm like, what? My very first thought is, geez, I don't have time for it to be sick. Like, what is that? So that day was kind of interesting at work, and I just come home and I said to my husband, like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm going to give my 3 weeks notice. I don't think that this is worth my health or my life.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was able to do was, because we have a farm and being in the finance background, we had some savings. So I came home and was able to decompress.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my body needed, was this decompression phase. And through that decompression, when I was ready, I sat down at the computer and I just said, all right, I'm ready. What do you want me to do? And I typed in New Age business, and the human design system popped up. Probably if anybody did that today, that would never happen. Probably if I did that today, it would never happen. Right? But it was meant to be. It was meant to show up at that exact right moment when I said, I'm ready. So.
Exactly. And yeah. It's interesting, because I think that this week, there are a lot of people in that situation that are, for whatever reason, that have been laid off.
Right.
It's been a weird week of layoffs. And it is interesting when you leave a job, there's a panic at first, almost.
Yes.
Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And for anybody that's in that situation, that's perfectly normal. And there is a bit of time, and then all of a sudden there's such a great deal of clarity as to what you need to do. So if that's your mode right now, don't worry about it.
Right. Yeah. And give yourself a little bit of a grace period. I had the wherewithal and the ability to give myself a grace period of a year to, decompress, reconnect with nature, be on my farm, and allow myself to just really find that spark back in myself. So, I would say that to your listeners is give yourself that space. Mm-hmm. If you can, give yourself that space. Like I had a part-time job that, just got me out of the house for like 5 hours a day, just so I didn't like lose connection with all of humanity. Mm-hmm. But it was a job that, I didn't have to, there was no stress. Let's just say that, right? It was simple. I could go there, do it, and walk away and still be in that space to give myself that time to really reconnect with who I was and who I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there is, so when I when it happened to me, I made breakfast for my dogs every morning,
Mm,
and I just walked in the forest.
yes,
And
yes.
that's actually when I found out there was a healing part to the forest.
Yeah.
And I
Hmm.
won't get into that now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
what I find interesting about your story is how you connected to human design system.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I thought it was kind of I thought it was just astrology, but it's not. It's
Mm-mm.
ancient philosophy. It's
Mm-hmm.
I Ching. It's Kabbalah. It's
Yep.
Vedic wisdom, all kind of rolled into one. And
Yeah.
when you first started, when you first encountered it, what was it that drew you? Was it the astrology, or was it just the overall?
So, so, and what I love is it like there was a pull. Like there
Mhm.
was a pull. As soon as the website come up, I'm like, ooh. I don't even know what it was, but here's how I'm going to describe it. I felt like I was at home. I felt like, this is it. And I am an incessant researcher, and that's in my design. Um, and and I just knew that this this is exactly where I needed to be.
Mhm.
So, honestly, I actually bumped into a website that wasn't the quote unquote original teachings.
Mhm.
And I bumped into, that website two different times. And when finally the original teaching, the original, his name was Ra Uruhu. He was actually Canadian as well. He's from Montreal, Canada. Um, when his material bumped into me, I'm like, there it is, there it is. That's the space I need to be in. And I jumped in with everything that I had, and I have spent the last 10 years just steeped in the wisdom of it and experimenting and helping clients really know who they are, really know who they are. So I wouldn't say per se it was astrology. It was just the uniqueness of it when it was speaking to my cells. It was speaking to my frequency.
Mhm.
That's what the difference. Yeah.
So just to give a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more of on human design, this
Yes.
is information that was channeled,
Yeah.
and and I believe this all started in 1987.
Yes.
And
It did.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but or aware of a man by the name of Paul Selig.
I don't know that name.
Well, what's interesting about him is he had also heard about the wave that was coming in 1987,
Okay.
and he was an academic and into literature and writing,
Okay.
and he decided to go out on the roof and say, okay, in
Mm,
1987, and say, okay, I'll take whatever whatever comes. And
okay.
what's interesting is he started channeling as well, and he is the one that channeled the I Am Word books. He is the
Mm,
one that did the channeling of all those. So at that
okay.
kind of that same time, so uh, fill us in on kind of how the channeling began for human design, because it's interesting.
Okay. Okay. So you're totally correct. It was 1987. And what actually took place was this supernova that took
Mhm.
place,
Mhm.
right? So I think there was a massive shift in humanity, and a lot of people were shifted and had no other choice but to be shifted. So what the process that Ra went through was actually an 8-day process. Now, this fella, I don't know if you've done any research on him, or not, but Ra was a very interesting character. He was a part of the Mensa group. I don't know if you know what the Mensa group is. The 1% of the intellectual people on,
Mhm.
on the earth plane. So he was a part of that. So he was already very well read, well cultured. He was kind of a playboy, I guess you would say, as well. And he dabbled in psychedelics and drugs, and he did all this stuff. But he actually took himself over to Ibiza, Spain, and almost hermited like got away from all of society. And in his words, he was almost turning into like this wild animal. He was living in trees and stuff like that. And this one moment, he walked up to his little, they call it ruinas in Ibiza, Spain, and there was this voice that had him sit down, and he channeled this system for 8 full days. So what the system actually takes, so it takes Western astrology, and it doesn't take Vedic. He indicated that it was Western astrology, the Kabbalah tree of life, the Hindu chakra system, the I Ching. And what it does is it marries it with quantum physics. So it's this beautiful compilation and this beautiful bringing together of all these ancient wisdoms to really show what the frequency is of who you are. And then the actual view of it is actually mechanical. So we all connect in this very mechanical way so that I can serve you, you can serve me. And we're all designed to kind of bump into each other in this, consciousness field, but be fully aware of our essence inside of the consciousness field and not get caught in the consciousness field, but be fully aware of our point of view and perspective in that consciousness field.
Yeah. And what I found interesting was there were types that came out of this.
Yes.
And let me see if I got this right. It's manifestors.
Yep.
Generators.
Yep.
Manifesting generators.
Yes.
Projectors and reflectors.
Yes. Yep. So at the heart and soul of human design, the core function of it is to teach us how to make decisions. So that instead of making decisions from a space of the conditioned mind, oh, I should do this, I should do that. If I could do this, then this would happen, blah, blah, blah. All that natter and chatter that's happening up there. What design teaches us is actually to lean back into the intelligence of the body, because the body is intelligent, and come from a space of that intelligence. And each type has its own strategy, okay? So basically what that strategy does is says, here's how you're going to participate in this little human game. And then when you drop back into your own inner authority, now you get to decide. You get to have the autonomy inside this participation on who you're going to accept or not into your reality. Okay? So it's all about decision making and then how we participate in this little game of humanity.
Yeah, exactly. So of those, what did you find yourself to be?
I'm a manifesting generator.
A manifesting generator.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's what you are too.
That's right, because I sent you my
yes.
All right, so now I want to know all about the manifesting generator.
Okay, so what you and I are designed for is our strategy is called response. Okay, we're here to respond. So generators and manifesting generators have the exact same strategy, and that's responding. So you know how your head is nodding, right? You giggle, you're going, right? You make these noises, right? Your body's leaning in or it's pulling out. That's response. That's what your physical body's doing. So all the time, you're constantly responding to the outside stimulus. And then what you and I get to do is then use that response mechanism and decide, do I have the energy to interact with this person, create or finish this task, join in this group? There's always this response, and it always comes from our capacity to know, do we have the available energy to be a part of this or not? Because in the business world, what we're called is builders. So people bring us in because we bring this ginormous life force with us. So we bring in all of this energy. So if we're using it incorrectly, if we enter in and we say, oh, I should do this, or I could do that, or, the mind is making this decision instead of our response, we'll be frustrated because we'll be using that, life force battery incorrectly, and it'll get drained really quickly. But if we enter in correctly through response and our own inner authority, now there's this generative energy. And we feel very satisfied because we're, quote unquote, being used well. We're showing up. We're able to generate, what it is that we need to build on this planet. Does that make sense, Kevin?
That makes perfect sense. You know why? I think this is true, Leann, is through university. In university, I went to a Jesuit school, and we had to do a lot of group things because the Catholics are just crazy about that.
Yep.
And so, it always seemed like I could see everything that needed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And if I couldn't get people, to figure things out for themselves, it'd be just like, oh, just let me do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me do it, and I'll give you this little piece, and you figure that out. So that's how hearing what you just said rings true to me. Like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I do find that I can't be around people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of me that has to be on my own to recharge.
Yep.
Because
I think that's really important, because you and I are using that battery.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to unplug, let everybody go do their own thing. And we get to regenerate. We get to regenerate that battery because people are always tapping into it. They're always tapping into it. Yeah.
So out of the types, the manifestors, the manifesting generators, and the reflectors and the projectors, which one do we influence? Which one do we influence the most?
So here's kind of like I don't want to say it's the hierarchy, but it's kind of like just how all the puzzle pieces fit together here. So manifesting generators and generators, we're here to bring this generative life force energy to the planet, right? So we're here to work, and I'm not saying like there's a lot of us that are really exhausted. So when I say that, people are like, I want to flip the table upside down. I don't want to do any more work. Well, it's because you've been working through frustration instead of satisfaction. So we are here to bring this generative energy. So what the projector actually is designed for is to guide that energy. Because you and I, like, we can go. And if there isn't someone guiding us, like, we're just out there using our energy, we're just doing our thing, right? We're busy all the time. But when there's a projector guiding that energy, now all of a sudden we can move deeper into that satisfaction. Okay? The reflector's job, they have a really interesting job. What they're really designed for is to kind of, steep themselves in a community and reflect out, like evaluate what's working, what's not working. So like their role in this lifetime really is to provide a deeper sense of awareness around what's going on in these communities, okay? And then our manifestors, what they are really designed for is, so the visual that I get is Moses, right? Like splitting the seas, creating this pathway, and they're making a huge impact all the time. And then the projectors are guiding all the manifesting generators and generators through there so that we can all get across, and the reflectors are going, okay, hey, that's working. This isn't working. Okay, listen to these projectors over here, invite them into your life. So there's this beautiful compilation happening so that humanity can move through whatever it is that is, holding us back. There's this space that we can move into for a better life.
Exactly. So there's a component of this as well that's somewhat physical,
Mm-hmm.
that deals with the chakra systems and
Mm-hmm.
where energy goes and understanding how it. So can you touch on that just a bit with manifesting generators?
Okay. So in this system, if any of your people, can pull up a body graph, that's excellent, or anybody that's watching this. So um, there's like this. There's nine centers in the human design body graph. And what they're going to notice when they pull up a chart is that there's a personality side and there's a design side. And the personality side is who we think we are. This is our psychology. The design side is our actual physical body. This is all the unconscious stuff, right? This is, our connective tissue is holding us together. Our heart is pumping. The blood is flowing. We're doing all, like this physical body's unconsciously doing all of this. We don't actually have to think about doing that. So when you pull up the body graph, there's going to be those nine centers. Some of them are colored in and some of them are white. The colored in sections are really the activation. This is what you are here to teach and represent. The openness, anything that's white, this is where you're learning. This is where people are coming into your life. This is where you go out to get experiences and where people can come into your life and teach you.
Mm-hmm.
So the chakra system, in spirituality, it's like, how do you open it, close it, all that kind of stuff. This is a little different because this is what's the true activation, and then what are you here to learn. So can the open centers, they can through the transits be quote unquote colored in, because
Mm-hmm.
that is the moment where you're really designed to learn that wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
But your birth chart, the natal chart, is always exactly the same. So for you, Kevin, I'm going to give some terminology here that,
Okay.
people, may or may not appreciate. So there's, in your chart, what's undefined is the head, the ajna, the heart center, the G center, and the splenic center. So all five of those, you're here to gain wisdom about. So what does that mean? The head center, you're designed to gain wisdom about inspiration. Who's inspiring? Who's not? Where do you lose focus? Where do you not lose focus? The ajna center, it's all about conceptualizing. Well, today you might think something. Tomorrow, another piece of information comes and you think something totally different. Because you're designed to, quote unquote, never be fully certain, because you and I get to be malleable and kind of move with the energy and lean into those concepts that need to be leaned into. And tomorrow, if a new piece of information comes or a new experience comes, it's like, hey, I've changed my mind. I see this differently now. So you and I don't have a solid way of conceptualizing. It's kind of malleable. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The G center is all about space and time. And this is our love and this is our direction. So you and I get to lean into, is this the right space for us? Is this the correct people for us? So I always call this our quote unquote backup beacon. So our inner authority saying yes or no, we should be here, we shouldn't be there, right? It's telling us all the time. However, this undefined G center says, oh, this isn't the right place. This isn't the right time, not the right people. So it's kind of like a backup beacon, okay? The heart center. For you, what you're learning here, this is all about the wisdom of worth. This is all about the wisdom of, material items and spirituality come together here in that heart center. So you're learning spirituality. You're learning how to break out of the tribe. You're learning your self-worth outside of the identity of, this construct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the splenic center, what you're learning there, it's all about wisdom of what's healthy, what's safe, what can you let go of, what do you need to hold on to. All of these things that allow you to be fully present as you move forward in life. How does that feel?
That makes perfect sense, because I feel like I'm on this quest to for the truth.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and it seemed like it started at a young age because, um, you know, I at a young age I was clairvoyant and clairaudient, and so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand the world a lot.
Yes. Yep.
And
Yep.
I used to, I if, I used to go to church without my parents because I'm trying to understand when I was a young kid,
Yep.
mostly to escape from everything else that was going on.
Okay.
And
Okay.
what in church I could never understand. Well, if there's a heaven and a hell, why are
Mm.
all these people here?
Right. Good Inquisition. Good Inquisition.
Right. So like what you said, you're testing.
Yes.
You go through life testing. Is this true? And
Mm-hmm.
I've come
Mm-hmm.
across a lot of you know you always feel like you've got to is this the truth? And you sit in it and you wait in it for a while, and you try to decide. You hang with it, and then you decide. Like to give you an example, I picked up the book A Course in Miracles, which is a channel
Mm.
text.
Yep.
Have you heard of this book
I
too?
have. I have. Yes.
Well, I, it is absolutely lovely, but it is on a level that is that is way beyond at times.
Yep.
And so you're sitting with this wisdom and this and trying to understand, how does this apply to spirituality? And then I ended up finding the Seth books and going through the Seth books and
Mm.
Esther Hicks and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Abraham and all of these
Yep.
ancient wisdoms to try to figure out, well, what is the truth finally,
Right. Yep.
So that makes
Yep.
perfect sense in what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we're going to go for a break here soon, and then when we come back, I'll talk to you about like the definition of
Right.
of your chart, so that we can lean into that, because that really is your truth.
Yep. I was telling Todd before. I'm like, remember, you got to remind me because I'll just talk right through it. All right, it's the bottom of the hour, and Todd is going to take us on a break. We'll be right back on the New Bridge Radio Show.
Want to keep up with the latest at the station? How about catch up on your favorite shows on the go? Download the free WLTK-DB mobile app on the App Store and Google Play. Watch, listen, and shop right from the palm of your hand. The WLTK-DB mobile app. The truth is here and now. Get yours today.
Welcome back to the New Bridge Radio Show on WLTK-DB. Let's talk. I am your host, and I am here with Leann Wolff, and we are talking human design.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this conversation that we're having, Leann.
Of course you do, because it's about you, Kevin, and that's what manifesting generators love.
Yeah. Yes.
You love it, because you want to know about you.
Exactly. All of us do.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's lean a little bit into your definition.
All right.
Okay. So what I loved is that what you said was around frequency. Okay. You're like, well, I'm steeped in this. I'm looking around, and you're You're talking about how you really understand that frequency that's happening around you really is your superpower. Okay. So being social, and yet at those moments, there's times where you need to pull away from being social so that you can regenerate your battery. But your superpower is in that socialism, going out, or socialness, not socialism, socialness, sorry, and leaning into what's going on here. And being in those interactions allows you to get a deeper sense of what's going on, what's happening. And through that, you have life cycles that happen. Where are you going to put your energy? Where, when you move into that social aspect, you actually provoke people. That's what you're designed to do. Because you have all of these solutions. Your incarnation cross is all about the cross attention. So your purpose, your entire purpose, is really to bring this tension to other people so that they go deeper into their own well and seek out, who am I in this big pot of soup? So your purpose in that tension is to go, I have a solution. I don't know if it's going to work or not. That's why you're interviewing all these people. You're giving people all kinds of solutions. And then they get to lean into which one's going to work for me.
Right.
So this is your superpower. Doing this, presenting different solutions, showing people those solutions. I don't know. Is it going to work? I don't know. Let's test it out. Let's try. So that's a huge part of your purpose. How does that resonate to you?
That resonates really well. That was, when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to do for our podcast, we wanted to bring people in who had, connected to what was next. Because there was a group of us, we were like, we kind of were at this crossroads, not knowing what to do ourselves. And we figured out this little bit of wisdom. And, if it hadn't been for this show or for that show or this, we would never would have had it. And so that was the whole intent. Let's connect. So we're like, let's create this show called The Bridge, where we connect people to what is next in their life and bring them the solutions that might bring a sense of hope to them.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And through doing that, like, how you ground this is actually provoking people to literally take a risk to step into their own spirit, to step into their own abundance. Okay. So what I love about this system, and I keep looking over on my other screen because I have you in large screen, your design. That's why I keep looking over there. Is this system helps us with every aspect of our lives. Okay. It helps us in our relationships. It helps us individually to awaken and become more aware and accept who we are instead of being tortured through who we think we should be.
Right.
It helps us in business so that we can build teams that are really productive, not only productive, but actually like accept each other, get along, for the common good. And it's for our health. It can show us, what is the best way for us to nourish this vessel? What is the best way for us to listen to our own magical psychology that we have inside of us? So families, kids, all of it can help all of it, because it all starts with this mechanical structure that we call the human design body graph.
So you caught on to this too, and started figuring this out. You know what? I really can bring the tension to. So when you figured this out, how did it change you in your life? What did you get more satisfaction after that?
So for the most part, I'm going to say it actually confirmed who I was the whole time,
Oh,
right? Who I've always been. And yet at times I didn't trust it.
mhm.
So yeah, I have massive amounts of satisfaction now. I have relaxation in my body because I know that we don't have to force anything. It's all happening for us. It's all happening through the grace of us stepping into what we are designed to represent. And the minute that we take away the conditioned mind that's trying to torture us, our life and our perspective shifts. Everything shifts.
Now, let me ask you this. So, when that happened,
Mm-hmm.
did you find things aligned in all sorts of ways? Like,
All sorts.
even in money and earning money, did that change as
Yes.
well?
Yep. Totally did.
Hmm.
Totally did. Because I see money differently now,
Hmm.
right? Like in the finance world, you see money in one way, right?
Hmm.
And now I see money differently. And what I know is that money is a currency, okay? And money just wants a place to flow. So once we are open, our cellular structure is open, as an entrepreneur, I make offers. That's all it is. It's offers and decisions. And money
Hmm.
can flow however it needs to flow. So quote unquote making money, I don't believe in that statement. I think it's just being receptive to the flow of money, being receptive to the flow of clients, being receptive to the flow of life. It's all just a flow versus making. I don't have to make anything. I just have to allow the flow of it.
Hmm.
Okay. So, I'm going to speak outside of human design here a little bit. And we live in this quantum soup. And it's invisible to our naked eye. It's invisible.
Hmm.
But as soon as we step in and we can learn our design and we learn how to participate and to manifest through that design, all of a sudden we take the invisible and we make it visible.
Uh-huh.
And it's through alignment that we do that to the true self. So we're not holding back any of that manifestation. We're allowing it to flow through us.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't always say that I you know just set my mind to manifest something and it comes up.
Right.
But I can see a pattern in my life where it feels like it was organized in a way
Yes.
that benefited me.
Yep.
And there was some sort of synchronicity that allowed me to get across whatever I needed to get across.
Yes.
And I've often stopped and said, okay, whatever force this is that has got me to this point and put me in this place, thank you.
Exactly.
There was a time where, uh, you, you, I couldn't deal with anything without alcohol or without you know
Yep.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
high amounts
Mm-hmm.
of nicotine
Yep.
and all kinds of things.
Yep.
And it just felt that it eventually got to a point where it was just time for that to all go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And to just let that no longer be.
Yep.
And I would have to say that as you've said, as I've kind of not only by challenging other people and creating a tension for them to figure out what's next, I really have done it in my own life
Yes.
as well. Because I'm, looking at them and saying, I can't be I became a Reiki healer and I'm like, I can't be a healer and smell like smoke.
I totally get that. And when I look at your design, okay, so the G center is like the diamond in the middle. And for you, again, it's undefined. But what you have there is what we call a hanging gate, and it's the 46th gate. And that is all about synchronicity. But not only that, it's about the body.
Mhm.
It's about the self-care of the body. So you had to have those experiences, alcohol, nicotine, whatever it is, so that you could reconnect and repair that relationship that you had with your physical body, so that you can help other people on that journey. So in design, like, it never lies. And that's, it's the conversation with the client and listening and hearing. And then I just watch it all pop off the chart, and it talks to me. So it's like reconfirming that you're on the correct path. You're doing exactly what you need to do. Now let's just make it better, right?
Exactly.
That's the beautiful part. Yeah.
Now, there must be a certain part of this when you start working with someone and you start telling them, okay, so here's what I see, here's what's happening, and I can understand this because I'm kind of doing it intuitively through readings.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
And somebody will ask me a question, and I'll be able to tune into their energy and say, this is coming, this is what you need to change, and you'll be fine. Or somebody refuses to leave their little area that they're destroying themselves in. Like I get this a lot with people. I just want to know if my ex is going to take me back.
Right.
All right, I'll tell you, but you can't hate me for the answer.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And like, again, what I see that as, Kevin, it's the torture of the conditioned mind. It tortures us, and it keeps us from, connecting to the next thing in our lives. Right? But humanity has to have this space to start to recognize the difference between that tortured mind and our pure essence. And when we first started this conversation, that's kind of how we, that's what I said. Like, if you're on this precipice right now and you're looking for a new solid foundation, well, it has to start within. So give yourself the time and grace and the space to reconnect with that solid foundation, because it's all there inside of you. Right?
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. So, as you have been doing this now for a while, let me ask you a question about the future. Right?
Okay.
And as a generator manifestor, do you feel optimistic in the future? And do you feel optimistic about humanity learning and changing?
I totally do. So in human design, there's this thought pattern that he downloaded, and that is, we're moving into this space where it's all about autonomy. Okay, and we're going to create, connections, and business is going to be done differently. There's this huge shift happening, and one of the things he talks about is like this breaking of the sacrifice and how we see God. Okay, so he thinks we're moving into a space. This is not my thought pattern. He thinks we're moving into a space that 1,000 years from now, humans won't understand who God is. Okay, and I can believe that for a little bit. Like, I can see that in a sense that instead of thinking that God's outside of us, what we're doing is we're going to break up with a relationship that we have to sacrifice, that actually God is already inside of us. And that once we lean into the principles of the Bible, once we lean into the mechanics of human design, like, we'll be completely unstoppable. In a good way. Like, not in a way where we're, stepping on other humans to get to the top of the food chain. This is going to be like this union that's created in the next 400 years that humanity hasn't seen for 30,000 years. Right? So it's going to be different.
Exactly. I agree with you in that, because I think that there's a lot coming to the surface
Yes.
that is kind of changing, and people are like, you, you know, why is it that we keep building square houses in tornado plains?
It's it's like we're not learning, right? It's like
Right,
we're
right, right,
not
right.
learning. And now there's this space for us to really, I call it repairing with our essence, with God, with whatever it is. We are repairing instead of feeling this, disrepair and this dis-ease. We're going to repair and come into a state of ease.
Mhm.
Right?
Well, I feel this optimism, and I'm excited for people to connect with you. So
Mm-hmm.
when they do,
Yes.
there's probably a lot of people that are listening and like, you know what, I really want to know more about that,
Yes.
like how to figure out how to move, and like I'm sure there are people listening right now that are so frustrated with where they
Yes.
are.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
tell a little bit about your process and how you started with me and my chart to give me my information
Mm-hmm.
and to kind of give me the idea that tonight. So you start with a chart for people, and
Yes.
then you kind of can tell them what they are, and then from there you can really guide them. Tell them a
Yeah.
little bit about how that happens for them.
Yeah. So first, I want to make sure your listeners know that I provided a free little video, right? Video that people can lean into and just get a taste of it, right? Because sometimes some people really love this, some people don't. So just so that if anybody is curious, you will have that link to throw in there so that people can jump into the material and kind of get to know my frequency. Okay.
Mhm.
Second, booking, they can book 1 or 2 hours with me, or I also have packages. So if they want to build a business, if they want to, create more harmony in the family, I have all kinds, like I can do it all. Okay, I can
Mhm.
do it all. Let's just put it that way. So when they connect with me, it really is a conversation just like this,
Mhm.
and I do it through Zoom, so it's all online. And in the Zoom session, so I'll have the chart up, and as we're talking, as we lean into what's the challenges, I want to know what's the challenges, because I want to know how your mind is trying to hold you back. Okay, that conditioned mind. And through that, then we work out leaning into the essence of who you are. So really, it is a conversation. I point out in the chart, like, I provide the permission slip to be you, and the confirmation that who you think you are is truly, it's there. Just get out of your own way. So again, my specialty is business and career, because that's
Right.
what I love. I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love allowing people, like, breaking those chains and getting into that creativity and leaning into that. So that really is my specialty. But I can guide them in any area of their life: health, family, all of it, awakening, awareness. So there's different packages. They can just go onto the website, www.powerofself.ca, because I am Canadian.
Yes, yes, yes.
and they can lean in if they want to connect with me. I also have a YouTube channel. That's how you found me, Kevin. And I don't even know. I think there's like 300 and some odd videos up there that they can get to know who I am and what I'm about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know what? Your channel is almost to 7,000
Yes.
subscribers.
Yeah.
So yeah, people are definitely resonating with what you have to with what
Yeah.
you're teaching.
Yeah.
And if there's somebody there's probably somebody out there that is in the same situation I was in, and you've got a career, you're working hard, but you are eternally unhappy doing what you're
Yes.
doing,
Yeah.
and you're just doing it. One, you think, oh, I'll never find another job like this that'll pay
Right.
like this,
Yeah.
or I'm too old to be starting a business, or chasing after dreams. It's too late for me. I'm
Right.
just grateful for it. It's so hard to get rid of that mindset.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
hate it, but I'll just do it tomorrow,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But Leann can kind of tune in based on human design,
Yeah.
and rely on and give you those pictures that can help you figure out the way. And
Yes.
when it clicks, it's so much easier to get started. Like,
It
that's
is.
it.
Yeah.
That's what I
Totally
needed.
is. And, you know, I was there also, you were there.
Mhm.
And I know that all of that, all of that you just said is all lies. I'm too old. It's too late. I just got to stay here. I got to pay my bills. That's the trap. That's
Exactly.
the trap of the matrix.
Mhm.
What God gave us was creativity. What design tells us is that at the heart and soul of our individuality, it's creativity. So if you think that you'll never find a job, that's totally true. You're totally correct, right? That's totally true. Whatever you think, you believe. However, I'm here to say that the question I would ask is, what is it costing you? Right? And it's costing you your health, your mental health, relationships. It's costing you exploration into new territory that you didn't even know existed.
Right.
Right.
You know the other thing that people get trapped into
Which
is, well, I need to know everything.
Right. Right.
Right.
Yes.
I kind of had this sickness for a while. I need to know everything before I can create
Right.
my career. So I need a
Yes.
certification, and then after that
Yes.
certification, I'm going to
I
get a
know.
certified certification.
Yes. Exactly. And you know, I'm going to have another YouTube channel or YouTube video coming out again on Sunday really about this, is we have to break free of those quintessential golden handcuffs to feel free. We think that the benefit package, the wage, the salary, you know, maybe it's a car or whatever it is. And I'm not saying that if you're in a job that you love, stay there. Stay there. It's perfect for you. But if you're in a career that you do not like, let's look at different options. So, do we still have a little bit of time here, Kevin?
Yep, we've got just a
Okay.
couple more minutes here.
Okay, I'm going to give you an example. So I worked with this fella, and he was a recruiter, and he felt like he needed to do something different. Okay, but when we looked at his chart and I analyzed the whole thing, I'm like, no, this is still the correct space for you. Let's look at it differently. What if you became an entrepreneur or you became a partner in the business? What would happen then? Whoa, he's like, that's an option? I'm like, yeah. Right? That's totally an option. So that's what he did. He went to the people and he said, listen, if you want to keep me, I want to become partners in this. They're like, yeah, all in, totally. He became a partner and took his income from one level up to over 6 figures, like multiple 6 figures, just by having one conversation. He wanted to leave the industry totally, but he's really good at it. So he stayed and he looked at it different and used his design, and poof, he's in this space that he's just like totally relaxed. He has so much time with his family. He's earning an income. He's still doing what he loves. What better is that, right?
Nice.
So it's not like you have to walk away from everything. It's, what is the design telling you? What is your experience? Let's look at the entire thing, right? So
Nice.
that's just a quick story.
Well, you know what, Leann? It has been, this hour has flown by so
I know.
fast.
It always does.
I know. I'm like, well, we just got started and now we have to stop. Well, I can't thank you enough for being here on the New Bridge Radio Show and telling our listeners about human design. And we will definitely let them know about the link in the video that you're offering. And everyone can find this in their favorite podcast platform afterwards. Next week, we have no guests. It's going to be just me doing one question readings. So if you have questions you're dying to know about, you can join the show, join the chat, and we'll do your one questions. And that'll be next week with me. It'll be our first show since coming back that we have together. So look for that. next week on the New Bridge Radio Show. And at this point, it's Todd and Haunted Voices. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week on the New Bridge Radio Show.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.